At exactly 04:15 hours on January 10, 2026, the North Atlantic erupted as the Russian flagship Admiral Gorshkov launched the nightmare known as Zircon. No warning, no negotiation, just a hypersonic streak of fire hurtling straight toward the British logistics ship RFA Tide Force, frozen in the crosshairs of the Russian Navy. 47 seconds. That was the exact time remaining before the missile reached its target coordinates. The British crew only had time to see the deadly streak on radar and realize that all defensive systems were hopeless against that speed. Moscow meant this launch to avenge the capture of the Marinera and to prove that Russia could strike NATO at any time. But as the countdown fell into its final seconds, another terrifying truth began to emerge. The Russians thought they were the hunters, but they had no idea that in the shadows, an invisible ghost of the US Navy was silently closing in. The hunter was about to become the hunted in a gamble no one could have anticipated. To understand why a logistics ship like the RFA Tide Force became the target of a Mach 9 missile, we have to look at the vessel that lit the fuse, the ghost ship Marinara. This was not a random capture, but the culmination of a 4-month pursuit, targeting the most important link in the Shadow Fleet, an organization specializing in illicit oil transfers. The ship's peculiarity lay in its evasion techniques. On December 21st, to avoid detection by the USCGC Monroe, it transmitted 39 fake SOS signals in a row to jam rescue communications. By January 1st, 2026, it took its boldest step, changing its name to Marinara and temporarily flying the Russian flag under a license hastily issued by the Russian Ministry of Transport on Christmas Eve. The sole purpose was to turn the smuggling vessel into Moscow's mobile territory, intended to be escorted by submarines to Murman. However, NATO was one step ahead. P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft from Keflavik Air Base, Iceland, coordinated with British RC-135W electronic reconnaissance aircraft to verify the ship's IMO identification code 9234567. Ironclad proof it was flying a false flag. In this operation, the RFA Tide Force played a crucial logistical role, providing fuel to sustain the dragnet operation and cornering the Marinera so US Special Forces could enforce the law. On January 7th, Moscow was furious. The loss of the Marinera was not only an economic blow, but an intelligence disaster. Russia's strategic GUK Gap shipping route had been exposed. Military analysts concluded the Kremlin needed an immediate show of force to deter the West, and Operation Shadow was activated. On January 8th, the destroyer Admiral Gorshkov and a Yasin M-class nuclear attack submarine left the port of Severomorsk. In a NOTAM notice sent to international maritime authorities, Russia simply stated technical patrol, but the reality at sea suggested something very different. The target chosen was the RFA Tide Force. With a displacement of 39,000 tons, a speed of only 27 knots, and just a few 20mm self-defense guns, it was the perfect punching bag for Russia to flex its muscles without fear of retaliation. Overnight from January 9th to January 10th, British ship sensors detected signs of electronic attack. The electronic warfare system on the Gorshkov emitted broadband jamming pulses, isolating the British ship from satellite networks. This was followed by a dangerous escalation. Electro-optical sensors recorded a Russian Ka-27 Helix helicopter swooping down in a provocative buzzing maneuver. Its searchlights shone directly onto the ship's deck, forcing Tide Force to activate defensive measures such as flares and chaff. According to experts, the dual purpose was psychological pressure and forcing the British ship to reveal defensive radar frequencies for collection. Then the most frightening development occurred. British passive sonar detected a distinct metallic clank from the seabed. The Yasin M submarine had opened its torpedo tube doors to cut off any retreat. Simultaneously, a cold voice rang out from the Russian ship on the international channel. Zircon loading. Mach target 20 nautical miles ahead. NOTAM confirmed. 47-second countdown. Maintain course or face the consequences. In other words, Russia would not fire directly at the British ship, but it would detonate a hypersonic missile right in front of it. This is any captain's worst nightmare. The Tide Force only had a Phalanx CIWS, a system designed in the 1980s to shoot down subsonic aircraft. The Zircon was coming in at Mach 9, a terrifying disparity. So in your opinion, with current technology in 2026, is there any NATO defense system that stands a chance of intercepting Zircon, or is it hopeless? Leave your opinion yes or no in the comments. seconds. And while the theory was still being debated, a third variable emerged to change the entire equation. Just when all hope seemed lost, Tide Force sonar detected an unusual signal, very small, moving swiftly, and not matching any Russian profiles. Two stealth objects were silently approaching from the west. Would they arrive in time before Zircon left the launch tube? At exactly 04:15:30, the launch command was given. A pillar of fire tore through the night sky over the North Atlantic. The 3M-22 Zircon broke free from its vertical launch system, accelerating violently to an altitude of roughly 30 km/s. There, its hypersonic scramjet ignited, propelling it to Mach 9, nearly 3 km/s. At that speed, the air in front of the missile compressed into a bright plasma sheath surrounding the warhead. This plasma sheath is NATO's nightmare. It absorbs radar energy, turning the missile on Tide Force's screens into a ghost, appearing and disappearing, jumping between coordinates. The ship's CIWS turret spun in vain. Captain Harrison had only enough time to shout over the loudspeaker, "Impact in 10 seconds, everyone down, brace, brace." Overhead, the K-27 helicopter held position. Moscow clearly wanted the footage. NATO sailors helpless in the face of hypersonic power, a propaganda trophy. There was no direct collision, but the effect was arguably worse. Zircon plunged into the sea exactly 20 nautical miles from the bow as intended, but at hypersonic velocity, the impact created a kinetic blast equivalent to a high explosive detonation. A towering column of water rose like a mountain. The sonic boom followed immediately, hammering the hull like a sledge and shaking the entire 39,000-ton ship. Technically, Russia had succeeded. Data was collected, video was recorded. The British ship remained intact as a living witness to the deterrent strike. They thought the game was over. They were wrong. As the Russians prepared to declare the exercise complete, the battlefield changed abruptly. The real nightmare was only beginning. The Gorshkov's electronic warfare suite, Moscow's pride, suddenly screamed with collision alarms. The Parliament radar display flickered from lock-on to jam. From both sides, two gray ships, unlit, without bridges or superstructures, glided out of the jamming zone at an attack speed of 35 knots. USV Ranger and USV Mariner, unmanned warriors of the US Navy's Ghost Fleet. They hadn't appeared from nowhere. A US P-8A Poseidon had detected the Russian formation early and coordinated the two robotic vessels to drift passively for 4 hours. The very NOTAM test zone Russia had declared became the cage that trapped them. Below the surface, the Yasin M submarine faced its own crisis. An Orca XL Yuv emitted an active sonar ping close beside the submarine's propeller, silently announcing it was in a favorable position to strike if necessary. On the surface, at an extremely close flanking distance of only 500 meters, the VLS hatches on the deck of USV Ranger opened, revealing SM-6 missile warheads. An automated USAI announcement broadcast on the international channel, strictly adhering to the rules of engagement. Russian Warship 41. Weapons locked. Auto defense sequence armed. Change course 030 immediately. Those were likely the longest 30 seconds of the Russian captain's career. At 500 meters, the Gorshkov was effectively paralyzed. Zircon and Kalibr missiles were useless. Both required distance to arm and stabilize their flight paths. Fired at that range, they'd be little more than unguided chunks of metal, or worse, shrapnel that could rip the Russian ship apart. The only remaining option would be guns. But gun systems take seconds to traverse and aim. Meanwhile, Aegis-style targeting on the unmanned ships reacts in milliseconds. Before the Russian guns could even settle, SM-6 salvos could have turned the Gorshkov superstructure into a beehive, but the most devastating element was psychological. The Russian captain realized he was facing machines. They had no fear, no families, no hesitation, no instinct to de-escalate for survival. If he fired, Russia would be branded the aggressor against US assets. If he lost, it would be catastrophic. And even if he won by sinking unmanned craft, Washington would lose only metal, while Moscow could lose a flagship. At that moment, the RFA Tide Force quietly maneuvered into position behind the US unmanned formation. The shield was complete. To strike the British ship, Russia would have to step over 2 American robots. Silence filled the Gorshkov's bridge. Only the hum of air conditioning and the weapons officer's breathing could be heard. Finally, the Russian captain lifted his hand from the launch button, muttered a curse in Russian, and ordered, "Turn 180, heading 030, maximum speed." The Northern Fleet's giant flagship heeled hard, belching thick black smoke as it tried to escape the vice. The Zircon missile in the launcher gradually cooled. The standoff ended without a shot, except for the shattering of Kremlin pride. Russian officials likely still hoped to salvage propaganda from Ka-27 footage. As usual, it would probably be edited to claim the British ship provoked the incident and was suppressed by Russia, an all too familiar tactic after the Marinara incident. But they were too late. As soon as the Russian ship turned away, US European Command publicly revealed the full truth. A video compiled from electro-optical sensors on British and American ships exposed everything. The K-27 flying provocatively close to the British vessel while it was dead in the water, the massive Gorshkov sandwiched between two tiny craft, and, most painfully, the Russian flagship spewing black smoke as it fled. The footage immediately neutralized Moscow's propaganda narrative. However, don't celebrate too soon. Zircon's failure today may mark the end of old naval thinking, but it opens a new and more unpredictable chapter. The question many experts are raising now is this: after this setback on the surface, will Moscow shift entirely to asymmetric warfare beneath the sea? No one can say for sure, but names like Belgorod and the doomsday torpedo Poseidon are being mentioned more than ever. And who knows, maybe the next targets won't be warships at all, but the West's vital undersea fiber optic cable systems. Question for you: if Russia abandons the surface to wage guerrilla warfare under the ocean, will the US Ghost Fleet still have a role? Leave your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and join me in following the next crazy military chess moves.